Welcome, and thank you for watching this video on how Telium can help Eurostar maximize its single customer view to further benefit Eurostar customers. My name is Niraj Karwal, and I'm a Senior Solutions Consultant, and I will be your presenter today. So what will we cover today? Well, firstly, I'll provide an overview of the Telium Universal Data Hub and how you can build a data-neutral and technology-neutral MarTech stack. Then afterwards, we'll do a live demo where I can show how we can view and manage unknown visitors and convert them into known visitors through deterministic stitching, create dynamic segments as a result of all of the engagements and events that are occurring throughout your various different properties, online and offline, how you can do real-time retargeting to those individuals, and also data-led enrichment which can take place so that you can do personalization client-side within the web page or within the app. In addition to that, we'll talk about attribution and enrichment, so how we can give you access to your own data much more swiftly and in a granular fashion. So whether that be server-side connections directly to Google Analytics, or whether that be structured data output into Redshift via Amazon S3, for example. As a result of having server-side connections available to you, that will allow you to reduce the weight of your web pages and your app so that the customer experience is therefore much more smoother because there's less going on in those environments. So now I'll provide an overview of the Universal Data Hub. So as you can see here, this is what we call the experience layer. We have your mobile apps such as Android and iOS, your websites and CMS plugins, developer tools, connected devices, and of course offline data sources such as CRM, offline batch files, beacons, algorithmic data in your enterprise data warehouse. What Telium can do is in real time ingest all of that data into a single data layer, which gives you a single unified view within the Universal Data Hub. Now, Eurostar use online a hashed email ID, SHA-256, and that's something that we provide and we support as well. So the first element of the Universal Data Hub is our tag management solution, Telium IQ, and that is fed by, of course, web and mobile, and within here you create a unified normalized view, a data dictionary of all of the variables you want to pass as client-side tags to Monotate, DoubleClick, Drupal, Salesforce, and so forth. We have 1,000 integrations, and we are very proud of that, and we build them for free. We also serve our tags using a multi-CDN network, which is very unique because it means that we can create a competitive marketplace when it comes to serving tags, so they're much faster because you award the business for the best serving CDN networks in the area. And it's also a great opportunity for you to enhance your data layer without having to do coding on a website. So you can have an offline file and push it to the CDN network via API, and that can be used to supplement your data layer. So if there's product IDs and descriptions and so forth you want to add to enhance your analytics tracking and other technologies, you can definitely do that within our platform. Next, we'll talk about data access. So data access is your way of getting data out of the system as soon as possible. One of the ways is to create streams. So these can be filtered and can be used to transform the data as well. So we can push the data out sub 50 milliseconds to Google Analytics and to any other analytic provider server side, which means you can reduce the load on your web pages and your apps because you don't need to have that pixel or SDK in those properties anymore. We can also output data to other sources such as AWS and the Google Cloud Platform and Azure and so forth. And you also have our generic API to push it to any other location, which is called our webhook, as you can see below. We can also ingest data from offline sources, so if you have a composite ID such as address and name, again hashed, we can ingest that into our visitor stitching system called Audience Stream. And this is where we create a persistent user profile. And the stitching takes place deterministically between online and offline sources, as you can see here. And think of it like a keyring. You can have as many different IDs as you like. They can all be hashed, your mobile ID, Facebook ID, and so forth. If we see any ID from any previous historical event, we will do the stitching for you in real time, and that visitor profile then gets further enriched, which means you can use that for better retargeting and messaging and to enhance the experience of that user and to, of course, get better data. So as you can see on the right hand side here, sub 50 milliseconds, we've got a connection server side to Salesforce Marketing Cloud, to DoubleClick, to Facebook custom audiences. We can update Salesforce CRM in real time. That's a two-way connection. So a lot of these we have an inbound API as well. So we can ingest data back from these sources. And of course we can output data to Crux as well to enhance their data with first-party data as opposed to batch processing overnight. Just to also mention, we have a privacy management tool within our tag management solution, which allows people to opt in out of technologies, which is really great, especially when it comes to things like GDPR. And also we have other things such as extensions, which allows us to manipulate the data. Now, I'll also want to touch on data layer enrichment. So any of the rich segments and taxonomy you have in here, like high-value customer, someone who's interested in specific train routes, someone who's interested in insurance or doesn't have insurance. All of that data can get passed back into the data layer, and now that's in the page. And so platforms like Monetate, which are client-side only, can utilize that to personalize the experience. However, if you're using something like Optimizely, which we do also support, you can push that client-side, or you can use it and connect server-side with Optimizely. In addition, we can output all the event and audience data to Amazon S3, and then Eurostar can copy that to their own Amazon S3 instance and then output that to Redshift as structured data. As a result, you have all of that really rich data within Tableau. So we'll now move on to the live demo. So this is whereby we'll show how we can merge online and offline data, how we can merge and convert an unknown individual to a known individual, and that will of course involve visitor stitching, and then how we can also see event data and to generate audience data, so we create a persistent user profile. I'll also show you the integrations within the platform, and then how you can get hold of that data and output it into Redshift to of course see that in Tableau and enhance the single customer view that you already have within Redshift itself. So what you can see now is Telium IQ, the first piece of the Universal Data Hub. This is the tag management solution whereby you will define your client-side tags such as Monetate for personalization or DoubleClick, and 1,000 others that you might use for personalization and remarketing and analytics and so forth. This is primarily driven by data from your data layer. So as you can see, I've got a few values in the data layer. Of course, the Eurostar one will have many more values in there, but you can use these to map against your various different tags. So when I go to the tag marketplace, you'll see there's a few I've already outlined. Within the tag marketplace, you've got a whole array of tags that you can select and add. So we've got lots of analytics ones and so forth, Google Analytics, etc., etc. What I'll show you is, for example, the Monetate tag. And I've set some logic around this, whereby this would fire, I haven't completed all the configuration details, but you can see that there's a load rule behind this tag that will load based on a specific condition. Now I can set it to load on all pages by default, or I can say if a certain condition is met, then fire. Now I've actually set this against a specific special rule, and that is against a rich data value that's been associated against a visitor in the Audience Stream platform where we create a user profile. And this is a multi-product interest category. So if someone has this taxonomy, this rich badge against them, then only then will that tag load. So I can expand the logic and add additional values to that. So if it was, page type and so forth. But for now, I'm just going to keep my logic like that and demonstrate that working within the platform. And of course, you then map your values from your data layer, so however large that be, or these rich values that have come in from data enrichment to your tag. So Monetate can now pass these rich values for personalization when that tag does fire. So I'm just going to zoom out and go to the Eurostar website. And we've got a really cool tool called TLM Tools. And within here, we've got a tool called Web Companion. And that gives you a brief, quick snapshot of the website and what tags have loaded, what the current version is, and so forth. So you can see there's different environments for QA and testing and so forth. But you can see this is in line with the current version that we've got deployed for this demo. Now, I have the double click tag in there and the TLM collect tag. And the TLM collect tag is going to be used to push event data into the audience stream platform we talked about before to create a persistent user profile, create all this great rich taxonomy so we can create dynamic audiences and personalize and retarget and so forth. But you'll notice Monetate isn't in there because Monetate, the condition for the load rule hasn't been set yet. We don't have a multi-product interest category in there just yet. So we'll come back to that. So now I'm going to come back to this page and I'm going to switch and show you the next platform. Bear in mind with the tag management solution there's much more here. We have other videos that expand on the benefits of this as opposed to other tag management solutions. So now I'm going to show you a demo of Audience Stream, which is another part of the Universal Data Hub. And this is where we can create a persistent user profile stitched against any deterministic ID you like, against email IDs, for example, hashed IDs online, or your composite address and name hashed IDs from offline sources. And this happens in real time, and it creates dynamic badges in real time based on interactions and audiences, and spits out actions to execution platforms such as email, CRM, updates analytics, and so forth. And so there's a wide array of use cases that can help the Eurostar business. I'm actually going to show you now this working live against your website. So what I'm first of all going to do is create a trace ID. Now this will allow me to track my journey in the browser as I engage with the Eurostar website. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to use that same TLM tools, but this time I'm going to use Audience Stream Trace. This allows Audience Stream to listen to what I'm doing as in terms of the events, and it's basically a testing tool, but it's also great for demos. So I've now come to the Eurostar website, and I might say, okay, you know what, I'm interested in trains. I'm going to click on this link here and have a look at some routes. Now what you'll notice is that events will start to flow in real time, and enrichments will start to be generated. So I'm just going to wait for that to load. So what's happening is in this tool it's showing an event coming in, if it's matching any filtered streams, if it requires any further enrichment, and if any actions need to occur, as in being added to an audience or distributing it to another technology. So that's what it's showing you in this UI at each step that it recurs through. So it's a very granular view. But this shows you the first event when I first came to the Eurostar website. So I've got an anonymous visitor ID. Team doesn't know who I am, so it's giving me this visitor ID. So we can use this to personalize anonymously in the browser, or do cookie syncing against double click to then show me relevant messaging based on how I've interacted with the website or with the mobile app and so forth. And this here is the data layer that we're pulling in with all the relevant different values. And of course, Telium can provide additional support and guidance on best practice on your data layer to help you make the most of this so you can provide the best possible customer experience. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side, further values are getting generated. But these are now being simplified into a nice UI in terms of number values, date values, string values, list types. It knows I'm using a Mac, knows when I first came and last came, what pages and so forth. Yeah. Now it knows I was on badge originally and it removed that badge because I now have a badge assigned because I clicked on the train section. So my product count has gone up to 1, my train counter, and as a result I'm now eligible to be part of that. Now, as you can see, it also added me to the audience as a train prospect dynamically. So if I had an action associated with that, maybe a display advertising connection or something, something would happen. So if I come back to the website, I'm just going to browse around a little bit more. So I'm going to click on insurance, have a look at some insurance products, maybe just trying to plan my trip. Have a look at hotels as well. I know you guys are affiliated with Expedia. It's great to get some data about what's happening there as well. Then I might come back to look at my train journey and finalize that process. You'll now see further enrichments are being generated. So I've looked at multiple products now, and you'll see it's assigned me as an insurance prospect, hotel prospect, and a multi-product interest prospect, because my product count is more than 2. So you can see there's lots of values that are being generated. But presently, I'm still anonymous. There's no visitor IDs. Now I might decide at this stage I want to either make a guest booking or I want to make a customer login booking. In this particular case, I'm actually going to log into my account and provide a deterministic ID. So I'll go to the login page, and then I'll provide my details and login. So it recognizes me, I've logged in, I've given an ID, and I can now book my journey and so forth, or continue with the booking I had beforehand. So now what you'll notice is now that visitor event has occurred, and now stitching will occur against the hashed IDs. So this long ID here is actually an email address that captured from the web page, but it hashed it into SHA-256. It's also captured a mobile number, and it's hashed that, and it's also hashed the composite address ID. Now, audience is being generated and actions are being carried out. So you now see I've been added in to a new audience, in-market desirable prospect. That's because it's pulled in offline data stating that I'm a high-value customer. So you'll see here, my lifetime value from that offline data and historical event data is £2,341. And the threshold for being a high-value customer was £2,000. In addition, my either desirability score, high desirability score, because my offline data had me set as a score of 8. Now if I go down to the bottom, you see there's lots of data now. See, these are the individual PII address values, and I've basically joined the address values and then first name and last name values to create a composite ID. And this composite ID now is what I'm using to do stitching as well. So now I've got 3 visitor IDs I can use for stitching. The composite ID for offline, the email address ID, and the mobile number. And they've all been hashed appropriately, so Telium doesn't know what they are. Yeah, and it's up to you how you want to set that up. So now I can then use this to push actions out to technologies. So in this particular case, I was added to the audience for in-market desirable prospects. Then an action took place, and the action was to add me to a custom audience within Facebook. And you'll now see the actions processed, and it's added me and my composite ID to a Facebook custom audience for a multi-product interest. So now, if I come out here, if I come here and I change now to, here you also see we've got a number of events coming in real time as well. So as I was clicking around, real-time events were coming through. And this is great for data attribution, because now I can push these events as well to my analytics platform. So I could use this and connect this to Google Analytics, or I can actually pass this if I go to, so I can show you, I've made filtered streams for someone's clicking on hotels, insurance, and trains. Now if I click edit, I could have set this to store this event data in Amazon S3, and then you can copy it from Amazon S3 to the Eurostar Amazon S3 instance, and then from there you can push it into your own Redshift instance to then complement and further enrich the Eurostar single customer view. So now, instead of having 100 columns of rich data from your original DMP, you've now got 2, 3, 4, 500 columns of rich, relevant data, first-party data that's stitched in your Redshift instance that you can use to really understand and personalize a journey and make better business decisions. So I'm just going to come one more, and I'm now in my Facebook custom audiences. So I'm just actually going to refresh this so you can see the timestamp when this last actioned. So let's see, and hopefully it's added a new record, a new row in there. There we go. So I did it today, 4th of July at 6:58. And this was just my interaction right now. Sub 50 milliseconds, I've been added into here. So now you can use Facebook to advertise to me, to compel me to upsell and buy the products and so forth. And this could be going to multiple different technologies. It could be updating Salesforce, Exact Target, server side for Optimizely, or going back into the data layer to monetize. So if I come back out and I go to here, remember we talked about the monetize tag? If I exit this now and show you the web companion, you can see the monetize tag is now firing, because I now have that rich badge in the data layers come back into the page, and as a result the monetize tag has fired. So I can prove that by coming to this custom tool here and showing you the badge checker, and this shows you what's in the page right now. So these are the same values you saw in the trace, what products I clicked on, and multi-product interest equals true. So I'd like to wrap up just by summarizing what we've covered, and just to highlight some other benefits which might be useful to Eurostar. So we can ingest real-time data from all data sources at huge scale, so billions and billions of events. We can help you to take unknown individuals and move them to known via deterministic stitching. It's all first party, so it's 100% match rate. There's no guesstimate like third-party data from DMPs. There's real-time enrichment that takes place, sub 50 milliseconds, and of course dynamic audiences are created as you've just witnessed. There's no overnight batching that takes place unlike a typical DMP, so don't have to rely on that lag anymore. Again, to reinforce, we're all about first-party deterministic data, the truth about that individual's interactions. But if you want, you can complement it with third-party data sources if that is important for your business. You can create first-party lookalike audiences as well based on historical offline and online events. We call that audience sizing. I didn't get a chance to show that to you, but you can find a video of that on our website. Of course, we can do anonymous personalization. So as I showed you, when you click around the website, we can create taxonomy around that, and you can use that to try and engage and get a better customer experience for that individual. We've got 1,000 vendor integrations across all channels, not just DSPs like a DMP. We've spent years building these connections. It's a tried and tested, it's a mature platform. We've got an open API webhook outbound and inbound into our solution. So you can use it to be very flexible in your approach to passing data in and out. Of course, our agnostic approach to technology is crucial, and that's a great fit I see within Eurostar's long-term strategy to basically have a future-proof marketing stack. Pick and choose who you want to work with, optimize your stack, A/B test two different solutions that are very similar and there's overlap, and consolidate and be much more efficient with how you're using those technologies. We of course build new integrations for free. We don't charge, whether that be client side or server side. We can of course complement and enrich and enhance your Redshift single customer view. Currently, as I understand, it's being updated daily via your DMP. We can do that at least hourly based on all this event data and audience data that we're generating. The ability to create server-side connections to improve your website and app performance is also very important. So the connection to Google Analytics. And of course, all this data, this persistent user data, this visitor data, is stored within the EU. You can regionalize it so that it's maintained within the EU, and you can set retention periods as well for how long you want to be stored. But of course, as we've talked about as well, you can hash the data, so the PII elements can also be kept encrypted. And of course, you can create real-time filters of streams of data to different technologies. So if you have online and offline, I didn't get a chance to show you that, but you can upload a file of offline, like 1 million records, and all of those events as they load can get streamed to Google Analytics, including the online events. And that can be done for different types of apps, different types of products people are looking at. You define those values based on the data layer. It's completely up to you. And finally, we can definitely help you with GDPR and the e-privacy directive that's coming out in 2018. Of course, key part of that is understanding what people are opted into, penning that and associating those permissions against a user, which of course we've shown you in terms of our visitor stitching, and then giving you the ability to integrate with technologies to either add them to, opt them into, or opt them out of. We have that ability as well. And of course we can help you with the right to be forgotten as well. Finally, thank you very much for taking the time to view this video. We hope you found it insightful, and we hope you found that it resonates with Eurostar's goals. We're very excited to be working with you and look forward to continuing our conversation and showing you how we can add value to your organization even further. If you'd like to ask any questions or reach out, you can reach out to my colleague Adam Butcher, and his details are there, or to myself, Niraj Carwell. Thank you.